Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour. 3 new criminal laws come into effect in India, replacing the 1973 Code of Criminal Procedure and British colonial-era Penal Code and Evidence Act. The far-right National Rally leads first round of France's parliamentary election. Exit polls put President Emmanuel Macron's alliance a distant third. India joins UN-led talks on Afghanistan in Qatar. It's the third meeting of its kind, but the first to include the Taliban. Indian diplomat meets Taliban spokesperson. And Hurricane Beryl approaches the island of Barbados in the Caribbean, delays Indian cricket team's return home after winning the T20 World Cup. Now, India's justice system is getting a major makeover with 3 new laws replacing British colonial-era legislations. It aims for a faster trial, a mandatory forensics, and a more victim-friendly system.
For over a century, India's criminal justice system operated under the shadow of its colonial past. Sluggish case processing and limited victim rights plagued the system. However, a recent revolution is rewriting the narrative. In 2024, India ushered in a new era with the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshat Adhiniyam. These new laws replace the archaic British-era codes, aiming to streamline processes, empower victims and deliver swifter justice. Gone are the days of victims spending hours filing complaints. The cornerstone of this reform lies in speed and transparency. Today, a few clicks on a phone app can initiate the process. This online FIR, or First Information Report system, not only saves time but also empowers victims, especially those in remote areas or facing mobility limitations. But the reforms extend far beyond convenience. The new laws prioritize victims' rights, placing them at the center of the legal process. Witness protection programs ensure safety, and courts must consider victim input before dismissing a case. This shift in focus acknowledges the emotional and psychological toll crimes inflict. Furthermore, the system is becoming more inclusive. Elderly individuals, women and people with disabilities no longer face the additional burden of navigating crowded police stations. Investigations can now be conducted in the comfort of their homes, a small yet significant step towards accessibility. Technology can also play a crucial role in the new system. Mandatory forensics for serious crimes ensures stronger evidence collection, potentially leading to higher conviction rates. Additionally, virtual court appearances allow for swifter proceedings and eliminates the stress of travel for victims and witnesses. However, like any other major reform, challenges persist. Ensuring proper implementation across the vast and diverse Indian landscape is paramount. Concerns regarding potential misuse of police power also requires vigilant monitoring. Despite these hurdles, the new legal framework represents a significant leap forward. India's criminal justice system is no longer an archaic relic, but a system striving to be faster, fairer and more respectful of all those who seek its protection. This is a revolution with the potential to transform the lives of millions, offering them the hope of a justice system that truly works for them. Bureau Report, DD India.
Police in India's capital, New Delhi, have started registering complaints under the new laws from Monday. In some more information that we have, the first police complaint was registered against a street vendor under Section 285 of the Code for obstruction under an aerial bridge at the New Delhi railway station. The next report busts certain myths associated with the new criminal laws. Take a look.
The newly
newly enacted laws Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Act, which will completely overhaul the criminal justice system in the country, will come into effect from July 1st this year. The three laws got the Parliament's approval on December 21st last year, and President Draupadi Murmu gave her assent on December 25th. The laws will replace the colonial-era Indian Penal Code, the Code of Criminal Procedure, and the Indian Evidence Act of 1872, respectively. The three legislations aim at completely overhauling the criminal justice system in the country by giving definitions of various offences and their punishments. However, the provision related to the cases of hit and run by vehicle drivers will not be implemented immediately. There are several myths related to these three laws. Myth says sedition is gone but appears as Deshdroh in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. However, the truth is that the colonial legacy related to the sedition section in the IPC has been removed in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 brings clarity by explicitly defining Deshdroh as actions endangering the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, Section 152 goes beyond criminalizing expressions causing hatred towards the government. It punishes acts such as armed rebellion, subversive activities and separatist activities.
Now, both houses of India's Parliament will resume their sitting on Monday. The ruling BJP will start a debate on the motion of thanks on the President's address in the Lok Sabha, the lower chamber of the country's legislature. The Lok Sabha has allocated 16 hours for the debate, which will conclude with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reply on Tuesday. 21 hours have been allotted by the Rajya Sabha, the upper chamber. Right, joining me is my colleague Dibyendu Mondal. Dibyendu, tell us more about the Parliament's list of business for Monday.
Well, Ramesh, the Parliament will convene at about 11 a.m. this morning. It is after facing disruptions on Friday that the Parliament will reconvene to debate and discuss on the motion of thanks of the President's inaugural address. This is primarily on the agenda of both the houses of the Parliament, the upper as well as the lower house of the Parliament. The upper house, which is the Rajya Sabha, have already started debating on the motion of thanks of the President's inaugural address, while the Lok Sabha, which wanted to start the debate on Friday but had to adjourn the House following repeated disruption by the opposition parties, claiming that they wanted an adjournment motion to be moved because to discuss about the NEET examination issue on the floor of the House. But today, the Parliament's list of business is again the same, that is to discuss and debate on the motion of thanks on the presidential inaugural address to both the houses of Parliament. It is Anurag Thakur who will be moving the motion for debate, which will be supported by Basuri Swaraj, the New Delhi Member of Parliament. The Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, will be proposing to elect members of the new committees that will be constituted after the forming of the 18th Lok Sabha. After each Lok Sabha is constituted, the parliamentary committees on multiple issues, which includes public accounts, conduct, etc., are constituted by Parliament's members of both the houses, which is the Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha. So the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju will be moving a motion to elect those members from both the houses of Parliament. And also, the key agenda, as I said, will be on the debate and discussion of on the motion of thanks. But it will be important to see whether the opposition lets the House function in a normal way, given the fact that they have been wanting to disrupt the proceedings of both the houses.
So
yes,
as you say, Dibyendu, the debate on the motion of thanks for the President's address will take place in both houses of Parliament. But the question everyone is asking this morning, will the opposition relent on its demand for a debate on issues such as irregularities in the conduct of the National Eligibility cum Entrance Test undergraduate examination, or for that matter, inflation or unemployment?
Well, Ramesh, that's right. It is to watch, wait and watch, in fact, to see whether the opposition relents. But let me also give you this information that Manish Tiwari has already moved an adjournment motion in the upper house of the parliament to discuss on the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has been implemented from today. So, of course, in the upper house, we are expecting to see some sort of disruptions with regards to the demand from the opposition side to discuss on the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and the two other criminal procedure code and the evidence act, which has been reformed by the Modi 2.0 government and implemented from the 1st of July. So of course, there could be some fireworks with regards to this in the Rajya Sabha, but in the Lok Sabha, the opposition is firm on the fact that they want a separate hours dedicated to the discussion on the issue of need. But what the government says is also important. That the government says that they are ready to discuss, the issue of need through a proper, motion, through the proper parliamentary proceedings, and the government is ready to reply, but the opposition has to let the House function, only then the government can reply. So of course, it will be, all eyes will be on the parliament this morning to see whether the opposition relents or whether the opposition lets the House function to debate and discuss on the motion of thanks on the presidential address.
Indeed, as
Ramesh.
Debyendu is reporting, all eyes on that key sessions that will resume at 11 a.m. India time. That's under less than an hour from now. Debyendu, thank you for now. Appreciate it. In other news, India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar visited Qatar on Sunday on a bilateral visit. He held talks with Qatar's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Bil Jassim Al Thani in Doha and reviewed the bilateral relationship with a focus on politics, trade, investment, energy, technology, culture, and people-to-people ties. Qatar's Prime Minister, who also holds the Foreign Minister's portfolio, expressed his strong commitment to strengthening the ties with India. The two ministers exchanged views on regional and global issues. Minister Jaishankar appreciated his Qatari counterpart's insights on the situation in Gaza. Minister Jaishankar conveyed the greetings and warm wishes of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Emir of Qatar as well as the country's Prime Minister. India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi took over as the country's 30th Army Chief on Monday. The newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, General Dwivedi, received Guard of Honor in the national capital. General Dwivedi was commissioned into the infantry of Jammu and Kashmir Rifles in 1984. The general officer has a unique distinction of balanced command as well as staff exposure across the northern, eastern and western theatres in varied operational environments.
This is a moment of immense pride and honor for me to be assigned the responsibility to lead the Indian Army. The glorious traditions of the Indian Army rest on the legacy of valor and sacrifice of our soldiers. On this
Widespread respect. And now take a look at what else is making news in India. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu inspected a facility at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi on Sunday after a portion of a canopy at Terminal 1 collapsed. The inspection focused on reviewing current operations and passenger handling following the transition of flights from Terminal 1 to Terminals 2 and 3. The long-awaited Kupwara-Lolab road has finally opened, much to the delight of locals. This new bypass road promises to ease traffic congestion and reduce travel time between the two regions by enhancing connectivity and fostering economic development. A cycle expedition in India's Ladakh begins on Monday from Daulat Beg Oldi, which is located at an altitude of 16,700 feet. The team will cycle more than 753 kilometers at an average altitude of 15,000 feet, spanning 15 days to reach the breathtaking destination of So Moriri. The expedition is a tribute to the heroes of the Kargil War of 1999. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Indian Navy Chief begins a 4-day visit to Bangladesh's capital, Dhaka. Hungary begins its 6-month presidency of the European Council. And North Korea launches ballistic missiles off its east coast.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Indian Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi is in Dhaka on a 4-day visit with an aim to strengthen bilateral defense ties and explore naval cooperation. The trip comes more than a week after Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visited India. This is Admiral Tripathi's first official visit abroad after he took the reins of the Navy 2 months ago. The Navy Chief is scheduled to hold wide-ranging talks with his Bangladeshi counterpart, Admiral M. Nazmul Hassan, and other top officials of Bangladesh's military, including its Army and Air Force chiefs. Admiral Tripathi will review a passing out parade at the Bangladesh Naval Academy in Chittagong on the 4th of July. And my colleague Naval Sang Parmar joins us from Dhaka for more. Naval Sang, what more can you tell us about the Indian Navy Chief's visit to Bangladesh?
Well, Ramesh, this visit is a visit to consolidate the bilateral defense relation between the India and Bangladesh. And annually, all the chiefs of defense forces in India, like Army Chief, Navy Chief, and Air Force Chief, once in a year visit Bangladesh, as well as the Bangladeshi counterpart of these defense chiefs here in Bangladesh. They also visit the India. It is the high-level interaction, shows the quantum of bilateral relation between the India and Bangladesh. Yesterday, Garden-Rich shipbuilding and engineers of India signed an agreement with the Bangladesh Navy to provide made in India ocean going 800-ton tug to Bangladesh Navy. And moreover, as the Indian naval ship INS Ranveer also arrived on 29th June to Chattogram Naval Port in Bangladesh, and it is coinciding with the Indian Naval Chief Admiral Dinesh Tripathi's visit. And there will be professional interaction between the personnel of both the navies, as well as there will be a maritime partnership exercise. And as you mentioned, that our naval chief will review the Bangladesh Naval Academy's passing out parade, as well as he will address the National Defense College, Dhaka. Yes, Mr.
Also, Naval Sang, just for the benefit of viewers joining us from around the world, so that they can have a better appreciation of it, how would you characterize India's ties with Bangladesh in general and defense relationship in particular?
In general, the India-Bangladesh relation is very deep and strong. And as you know that Bangladesh is India's largest developmental partner, and we have a huge trade in South Asia, largest trade partner in South Asia. But the main thing about particularly defense relation, then I must say now that the large section of Bangladeshi people, and particularly the people in armed forces, hugely respect Indian armed forces, may it be Navy, Army, or Air Force. As you know, that the Indian armed forces shed a blood for the liberation of the Bangladesh country in 1971, and so people are commemorate the contribution of the Indian armed forces in its liberation war. So there is a huge respect among the peoples in Bangladesh for the defense forces, and the quantum of cooperation and the interaction between both these navies as well as army and the air force is very huge. And there is many defense, naval as well as army and air force joint exercise also taking place there. And that is the I want to hear.
All right, we leave it at that. Naval Singh Parmar in Dhaka, thank you very much, appreciated. Naval Singh reporting on the Indian Navy Chief's ongoing visit to Bangladesh. And staying on Bangladesh, the country's Navy has signed a contract for a Made in India 800-ton ocean-going tug with India's Garden Reach Shipbuilding and Engineers on Sunday, as reported there by my colleague Naval Singh Parmar just moments ago. The signing coincided with the Indian Navy Chief's ongoing visit to Dhaka. Naval cooperation between India and Bangladesh has been strong, encompassing a wide span which includes operational interactions through port calls and bilateral naval exercises, along with capacity building, capability enhancement, and training initiatives. A United Nations-led two-day conference of special envoys for Afghanistan from nearly 24 countries is on in Qatar. Now, this is the first time that the Taliban is participating in the gathering to discuss international engagement with Afghanistan since UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres initiated it. The Taliban delegation is led by its spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid. He demanded an end to financial sanctions and expressed a desire for greater engagement with the West, while dismissing curbs on women's freedom as a policy difference. Before the start of the formal talks on Sunday, the Taliban spokesperson held a meeting with an Indian diplomat, J.P. Singh. They discussed about strengthening the relations between the two countries. The Taliban thanked India for giving wheat and other aid to Afghanistan. The Taliban spokesperson also held similar talks with representatives from Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Uzbekistan. North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles on Monday, and the second may have failed and blown up during an irregular flight. According to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, North Korea fired a short-range ballistic missile that flew about 600 kilometers and a second ballistic missile that flew about 120 kilometers, both from an area near South Korea's west coast. Both missiles were fired in a northeasterly direction. South Korea's military said that the trajectory meant that the second missile may have fallen in an area close to North Korea's capital, Pyongyang.
The first missile flew about 600 kilometers. Normally, we need to conduct further analysis to determine whether it flew in the desired direction. The second missile possibly flew on an irregular trajectory in an early stage. If it exploded in midair during abnormal flights, its debris could have fallen inland.
The second missile on Monday would be the second failed launch in 5 days. South Korea's military condemned the North Korean missile tests, and it said it was a provocation that threatens peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. South Korea shared information on the missiles with the US and Japan. In more news from the Indo-Pacific, a Malaysian court will hear a judicial review application filed by jailed former Prime Minister Najib Razak on Wednesday. In it, Najib urged the court to compel the government to confirm the existence of a royal document that he said would allow him to serve the remaining 6 years of his prison sentence at home. Najib was convicted of graft over the multi-billion-dollar scandal. He had his 12-year jail sentence halved in February by a pardons board chaired by Malaysia's then King Al Sultan Abdullah Ahmad Shah, whose 5-year reign ended in January. In February, the Pardons Board had said that Najib is expected to be released in August 2028, 6 years after he began serving his sentence. It reduced the fines imposed on the former Prime Minister, sparking uproar in Malaysia. Hungary begins its 6-month presidency of the European Council on Monday amid serious disagreements with the EU management on a number of issues, including in regard to the conflict in Ukraine and migration. Hungary succeeded Belgium for the next 6 months. In late December, it will hand over the presidency to Poland. From 1st July to 31st December, Hungary will lead meetings of the Council, determine the agenda, and as second legislative chamber, had negotiations with the European Parliament. Hungary assumes the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union during a period of transition for both the Parliament in Strasbourg and the Commission. Japan successfully deployed an upgraded Earth observation satellite for disaster response and security after it was launched on a new flagship H-3 rocket on Monday. The Advanced Land Observation Satellite, or ALOS-4, is also capable of monitoring military activity such as missile launches with an infrared sensor developed by the Defense Ministry. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US top court to rule on a case concerning Donald Trump's claims of presidential immunity. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa unveils new government with the opposition getting 12 out of 32 cabinet posts. And a look at how climate change is wreaking havoc around the world. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. 3 new criminal laws come into effect in India, replacing the 1973 Code of Criminal Procedure and British colonial-era Penal Code and Evidence Act. The far-right National Rally leads the first round of France's parliamentary election. Exit polls put President Emmanuel Macron's alliance a distant third. India joins UN-led talks on Afghanistan in Qatar. It's the third meeting of its kind, but the first to include the Taliban. Indian diplomat meets Taliban representative. And Hurricane Beryl approaches the island of Barbados in the Caribbean, delays Indian cricket team's return home after winning the T20 World Cup. All right, going back to the top story that we are tracking here on DD India News Hour, India's justice system has got a major makeover with 3 new laws replacing British colonial-era legislations. And joining me for more on this is my colleague Vikas Sarthi. Vikas, again for the benefit of viewers joining us from around the world, why did the Indian government feel the need to replace the decades-old criminal laws?
Right, Ramesh. So the point of view of the government is that there are three reasons for bringing new laws. First, these laws are quite old. Some of the provisions have become obsolete. It reflects the interest of our of the British colonial era. In fact, there was some reference to Crown, Queen, Privy Council, British Parliament, Commonwealth laws. So these kind of the references were also objectionable according to the government, and because of that, the old laws have become obsolete. They reflect the colonial past. And the third is that over the 7 or 8 decades, the way crime has been changed. We are facing terrorism, we are facing financial frauds, we are facing we are facing kind of incidents like mob lynching. Those issues were not addressed by the previous laws, and because of that, government has changed all three important legislations like in Indian Penal Code, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act. So these have been replaced by 3 new laws. In particularly, these laws talks about providing the justice to the victim, and not only about punishing the accused. So most of the provisions which have been included are pro-victim, pro-complainant. The responsibility of the investigating agencies, whether state police, it has been fixed by these new laws. There is a timeline, there is a stipulated timeline that in how many days an investigation should be completed, what should be the window for providing justice by the trial court once arguments on both the sides are concluded. So most of the provisions are pro-victim. Some new sections have been included to address the issue of mob lynching, financial frauds, organized crime, terrorism, and apart from it, it has also included digital evidence admissible in the court of law. In addition to that, now the witnesses to the case can also record their statement through video conferencing, through digital means. Earlier, there was a cumbersome process, and because of that, we saw that on several occasions, witnesses were simply said that they don't want to be part of this whole trial.
Right.
And now, since they have a liberty to record their statement through digital means, we will see that people will also come forward and will provide statements in crucial cases. And these major changes now will be implemented from today itself.
Right.
And a huge training program is also being conducted through various levels: district level, state level, and national level. Ramesh?
A related question here, Vikas. How do the new laws prioritize justice and fairness over simply punishment? Now, the new laws aimed for a faster trial, mandatory forensics, and a more victim-friendly system. Tell us more about certain new measures such as zero FIR or online registration of a police complaint.
All right, Ramesh. So there is a provision of zero FIR. So a complainant won't have to struggle to find out that what will be the appropriate police station to register his or her complaint. The zero FIR is a concept that whenever an offence takes place, a person can register his or her complaint to the nearest police station. There is a provision to send complaint over email. Apart from it, there is a particular timeline, like in cases of sexual assault or rape case, within 7 days, the medical board which examines the victim, it will have to provide the report to the investigating officer. Earlier, we saw in rape cases particularly, the medical report was not submitted for months. Now there is a particular timeline for the medical board. As far as the other provisions are concerned, once a trial court concludes the argument, it will have to deliver the verdict within 45 days. And if it delays because of any unavoidable reason, then it must be given in written to both the parties, both sides. So victims' protection will be protected by the new provisions. Apart from it, another provision has been made, like in case of minor, women, persons over 60 years, people who are unable to go to the police station because of their physical constraint, they can ask police official to come to their residence or any place provided by them, that their complaint should be registered on that particular place, and police official will have to visit them either to their houses or to the identified place to record their statement. So that has also been provided in the new legislation. So by and large, most of the provisions, Ramesh, are victim or complainant friendly. Other issues have already been addressed, like the organized crime, mob lynching, or for the first time also, we have seen the definition of terrorism has been provided in our main criminal code. Earlier, this issue was addressed by special provisions like UAPA,
Right.
TADA, POTA. Now the terrorism has already been defined in our main criminal code.
Right, Vikas, thank you for breaking it down for our viewers so that have a better appreciation of the intricacies of the issue at hand. Thank you, appreciate it. Moving on, the far-right National Rally Party has dominated the first round of voting in France's parliamentary election. According to exit polls, the anti-immigration party National Rally secured 34% of the vote, while the left-wing coalition called New Popular Front won about 28%. President Emmanuel Macron's centrist Ensemble party came third. The French president is urging voters to unite to block a National Rally majority in the runoff election to be held on the 7th of July. William Denslow reports from Paris.
There was a strong voter turnout in these elections, with early estimates saying that around 65% of the roughly 50 million eligible voters in France showed up to cast their ballots. We've heard from Marine Le Pen, the figurehead for the National Rally Party, who said that strong voter turnout further strengthened the feeling of legitimacy in the National Rally's strong performance in this first round of voting. However, she says that the voting process is only halfway complete. She is urging supporters of the far right here in France to remain mobilised to secure an absolute majority for the party's leader, Jordan Bardella, next week. We have heard from French President Emmanuel Macron, who says that it is imperative for the French people to prevent that from happening. He says to do so, what is required is a clear democratic alliance for the second round. That's been a point somewhat reiterated by the left-wing coalition here in France, the New Popular Front. Some of its leaders say that it's imperative for its supporters to come together to prevent the National Rally from even securing one more seat next week. William Denslow in Paris reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, dozens of protesters gathered in the French capital on Sunday evening following initial results. Protesters set off flares in Paris as they marched through the streets, past smoking tear gas canisters and flaming trash cans. This election is seen as a huge setback for President Emmanuel Macron, who had called a snap election after his ticket was trounced by the National Rally Party in the EU Parliament election earlier this month. The U.S. top court is expected to rule on Monday on a case concerning Donald Trump's claims of presidential immunity. The former U.S. president is facing 4 charges related to attempts to subvert the results of the 2020 presidential election. Jagrati Dave has more.
Among the 4 charges levelled at Donald Trump, conspiracy to defraud the United States. On the last day of its term, the 9 justices of the top court will decide whether or not Donald Trump is immune from prosecution because of his position at the time as President of the United States. The trial has been held up for months as the Supreme Court considered Donald Trump's appeal. It is considered unlikely that the trial will begin before November's general election, and if Donald Trump regains the White House, it's possible that he could shut down the case altogether or even potentially pardon himself. Now, the former president has already been convicted of falsifying business records related to hush money payments. In this case, he has pleaded not guilty, claiming that the charges are politically motivated. Jagrati Dave in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Australia has more than doubled the visa fee for international students to rein in record migration that's intensified pressure on an already tight housing market. From 1st of July, the international bus student visa fee has risen to 1,600 Australian dollars from 710 Australian dollars. Visitor visa holders and students with temporary graduate visas are banned from applying onshore for a student visa. Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill called the changes helpful in restoring integrity to the international education system of Australia and creating a migration system that's fairer, smaller and better able to deliver for Australia. Official data released in March showed net immigration rose 60% to a record 548,800 people till the 30th of September 2023. The government said that it was closing loopholes in visa rules that allowed foreign students to continuously extend their stay in Australia after the number of students on a second or subsequent student visa spiked by over 30% to more than 150,000 in 2022-2023. International education is one of Australia's largest industries and is worth 36.4 billion Australian dollars to the economy. Now take a look at weather updates from around the world. In Poland, people flocked to the city centre and beaches as the temperature rose to 33 degrees Celsius. Authorities issued a heat warning throughout the country for Sunday. In Gdansk, weather officials issued severe thunderstorm warnings accompanied by heavy rainfall for the coming days, giving residents a much-needed respite from scorching heat. Firefighters in Greece were battling two wildfires near capital Athens. Authorities had ordered evacuations before the flames from burning pine and olive trees engulfed houses. Dozens of wildfires broke out over the weekend. People were advised to stay away from forested areas. Flooding and mudslides hit northwestern Italy, leading to evacuation of more than 300 people. Torrential rains triggered landslides that swept through towns, destroying homes. Authorities are monitoring the situation closely as the risk of further landslides remains high. Roads and railway lines were submerged in a region of Switzerland as melting snow compounded violent thunderstorms. The intense rainfall overwhelmed drainage systems and swollen rivers, causing widespread disruption. Efforts are underway to assess the damage and begin recovery and repair operations. Flood situation has worsened in India's northeastern state of Assam as river Brahmaputra flows above the danger mark. 34 people have lost their lives in the state because of floods so far. Emergency services are working round the clock to give relief and support to affected areas. And still to come on DD India News Hour. 1st July marks the 9th anniversary of the Digital India program, which is proving to be a milestone in the country's progress. And the Wimbledon Championships begin on Monday.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, DC.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. To business news now. Monday is the 9th anniversary of Digital India, which is proving to be a milestone in India's progress. Over the last few years, through Digital India, the country has set an example of how right use of technology can prove to be revolutionary for the convenience of people.
Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is continuously moving towards a developed India. The Digital India campaign has strengthened the resolve in this direction. The Digital India project was launched on 1st July 2015 with the aim of improving the country's digital infrastructure system. In the last 9 years, through Digital India, India has set an example of how the right use of technology can prove to be revolutionary for the development of humanity. Today, instead of cash money in our pockets, we have started keeping money in our mobile wallets, and even the poorest of the poor people are moving ahead digitally.
The Digital India program aims to transform India into a digitally empowered society by focusing on digital literacy, digital resources, and digital platforms. For the past few years, Digital India has been playing an important role in the progress of the country. Let us show you some statistics on how Digital India is proving to be a milestone in the progress of the country. UPI transactions are continuously increasing in the country. In the year 2023, the total number of UPI transactions was more than 100 billion. By December 2023, UPI achieved the target of 8,572 crore transactions. The contribution of digital economy to India's GDP is steadily growing. India's digital economy accounts for 10% of its total economy and is expected to reach around 20% by 2020 to 2026. The digital economy is expected to contribute 62% to India's technology sector by 2030, up from 48% in 2022. India's digital transformation over the last 10 years has been unprecedented. It all started with the launch of the Digital India initiative in 2015. By 2023, India has over 850 million internet users, enjoying the cheapest data cost in the world. India has leveraged technology to transform governance, making it more efficient, inclusive, faster, and transparent. India's unique digital identity platform is covering over 1.3 billion people. India has used the power of the Jam Trinity, Jan Dhan bank accounts, Aadhaar, and mobile to revolutionize financial inclusion. The Gati Shakti platform, or the online public procurement platform, government e-marketplace, have brought transparency and integrity in the process. It also promotes e-governance. Digital India campaign has played a vital role in transforming India into a digitally empowered society and a fast-growing economy. News Bureau, DD India.
7 years have passed since the GST law was implemented in India on the 1st of July 2017. GST has given a major boost to the Indian government's Make in India initiative by making goods and services produced in India competitive in national and international markets. Take a look at what has happened in the 7-year journey of goods and services tax in this special report.
The Goods and Services Tax (GST) introduced in India on the 1st of July 2017 is a comprehensive indirect tax that replaced multiple state and central taxes to create a unified taxation system. Aimed at simplifying the tax structure, GST merged taxes such as VAT, service tax, excise duty and others into a single tax applicable across the country. This reform was designed to streamline the tax process, enhance compliance, reduce the tax burden on consumers, and promote economic growth by making Indian goods and services more competitive both domestically and internationally. Let's take a glance at the formation of GST. The idea of GST in India first came up during the tenure of Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. After much struggle, the 115th Constitutional Amendment was made in March 2011 to implement GST. However, due to political opposition, the bill was annulled when the 15th Lok Sabha was dissolved in August 2013. Then, on December 19, 2014, the 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha. It was passed by the Lok Sabha in May 2015. On 22nd July 2015, based on general consensus, the Constitutional Amendment Bill was introduced on 1st of August 2016. Finally, on 8th September 2016, it was scheduled as the 101st Amendment of the Constitution Act 2016. It was enacted as a law on April 12, 2017. GST was launched at midnight on July 1, 2017 by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the presence of then President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. Let's take a look at some main objectives and benefits of GST for the public. Simplifying the tax system, eliminating the complexity of state and central taxes, reducing the tax burden on consumers, easing tax filing and refunds, reducing tax evasion, controlling inflation, uniform pricing of goods across the country, reducing prices of essential consumer goods. According to CBIC data, items like buttermilk, yogurt, flour, cosmetics, television, mobile phones and refrigerators have become cheaper after GST implementation. GST has simplified the budget of the common man and the business of traders while also providing several benefits to the government. Now let's take a look at the benefits of GST for the government. Increased revenue in the government's treasury due to reduced tax evasion. A simple and robust IT system has made tax administration easier. Compliance with tax liability by traders has benefited the government. Transparent business practices under GST have encouraged local and foreign investment. The implementation of GST has marked a significant shift in India's taxation framework. Over the past 7 years, it has streamlined the tax system by reducing the tax burden on the consumers. The GST has not only facilitated ease of doing business, but has also curbed tax evasion, increased government revenue, and supported economic growth. GST has most importantly played a crucial role in advancing the Make in India initiative, fostering a more transparent and efficient economy. Lipakshi Khurana, DD India.
The National Chartered Accountants Day is being celebrated across India. It's one of the most important days for the accounting and finance communities across the nation, as it honors the founding of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India back in 1949. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on the occasion. He said on X, and I quote, "Happy Chartered Accountants Day. CAs play a vital role in shaping our economic landscape. Their expertise and strategic insights are beneficial for businesses and individuals alike. They also contribute significantly to economic growth and stability. They are equally integral to our financial well-being. Hashtag CA Day," unquote. And now to news from the world of sport. Indian cricket fans might have to wait a little longer to see their T20 World Cup winning heroes back in the country, as the Rohit Sharma-led side's travel plans have been impacted by Hurricane Beryl in Barbados. After a grueling month-long T20 World Cup, the Indian cricket team is in the midst of celebrating its victory in Barbados, even as a Grade 4 hurricane approaches the island. The team recently emerged victorious in the first World Cup in either format since its 2011 50-over victory. Its planned route was to New York City, followed by a connecting flight to Dubai, and finally back to India. But the approach of the hurricane poses significant threat of flight cancellations. In tennis, the world's finest players will battle it out on the ultimate test of grass court, with the 137th edition of Wimbledon Championship beginning on Monday. Wimbledon is the penultimate Grand Slam tennis tournament of the year, and it will conclude with the men's singles final on 14th of July. All eyes will be on defending men's singles champion Carlos Alcaraz, who picked up his third Grand Slam title after winning the French Open in June. And before we close, playful pandas are captivating viewers with their antics as they munch on special panda kebabs prepared by their keepers. These colorful treats, a mix of their favorite fruits and vegetables, are more than just a snack. These pandas are part of an environmental enrichment process in captivity, monitoring the habitat of pandas. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Up. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. So let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.